Good afternoon, good morning, good evening, or whatever time zone it is, whether you in the world, it is your Lore Saviour. On the 9th of October 2025, in the year of our Lord Talos, I deployed a video on the YouTube channel that was something to the effect of confusing and disrespectful TTRPG etiquette. That's going to be on a card somewhere now for you to go and watch, because this is really a part 2 to that video, because when I put down that video, I wasn't too sure about how well it was going to be received, and there's certain things that I touched upon in that video but I wanted to expand a bit more, but it was already about half an hour, and I knew if it was any longer than that, not as many people would be watching it, and half an hour is quite a long time to be ranting and raving about one player who decided they were going to try and turn up 2 hours late to a 3-hour one-shot and make a character sheet without the core book, so they didn't have any of the context or rules to fucking play the game. And then a separate instance where somebody had signed up to a game not reading any of the advertisements, scheduling stuff that I put out, and then said to me that they were going to have to leave pretty soon after because they would already be an hour late to somebody else's game, a game that they were paying for, which I think is just confusing and disrespectful. And it's that third point, the not reading things properly, that I want to expand in this video a lot more, because as I said already, there are things I wanted to talk and expand about that, and I wasn't too sure about how well that previous video was going to be mentioned, because a lot of the negative ranty stuff tends to get me in a bit of trouble in one way or another, especially when I'm critiquing things I've had with my players, which may make me look like a bit of an arsehole really in certain eyes, and I'm sure that there have been plenty of people who have ranted and raved about how I'm such a horrible games master because I'm not accommodating enough, but much to my surprise, there's been a lot of wholesome feedback regarding it. A lot of people have been sympathetic and empathetic about all this, which I'm very grateful for, and surprisingly, a fair amount of people have been able to resonate with some of the neurodivergent examples that I gave by other neurodivergents. So people who are autistic, dyslexic, ADHD, etc. and so forth, which has sort of been really assuring to see, and also really sad that this isn't just a me issue, you know. But there's some specific traumas that are related surrounding that, which I talk about in that video, but in this video I want to talk about the not reading things properly and signing up to games at super fast speeds, because I feel that part of the reason, with me at least, is specific to who and what I am in the TTRPG space. And I could be mistaken, though I do think a fair amount of this comes down to me being a successful content creator. I would be interested to see if this reaches out into the far TTRPG sphere and other content creators watch this. I would like to see your thoughts and opinions on this, whether they're good, bad or ugly from my perspective. I don't really care. I'd just be interested to see if other content creators and other high profile TTRPG personalities can relate to any of this. But the reason why I think it's partly to do with the fact that I am a content creator that I've had these particular issues is that I'm in a fortunate position that within the World of Darkness sphere, whether you love me or hate me, I am someone that's well known, and a vast amount of people do want to be in a game with me. And I'm very grateful for that. And I'm honestly very surprised by all of this as well. It still blows my mind that I have over 15,000 YouTube subscribers. I think it's actually 16,000 now. It's been a little while since I've looked at it, and I know that I tend to update it once I hit every 100 or so, on the rare chance it bops up to 1,000, because in my mind, I'm still quite a small YouTuber. And 15,000, whilst it's not a number to laugh at, in the grand scheme of things, it is kind of a small little number, and I do cover a particularly niche within the YouTube sphere, and within that niche, I get even nicher, if that's even a word. It sounds German. I probably just said some sort of German word, but you know what I'm trying to say. Within the small hobby, I've focused on a really niche thing about it, and horror, for which most of my themes are about, in one way or another, is particularly small until Hollywood comes along and ruins it and just blows it up for a little bit. But you get what I'm trying to say here. So it just boggles my mind that my videos do get hundreds or sometimes thousands of views. The one that I did talking about the Bloodlines 2 controversy, the 75 quid DLC theme, which they did pull back from, admittedly. I was simultaneously surprised and not surprised that had over 10,000 views, and that many people just turned up to listen to what I had to say. And it kind of blows my mind a little bit that my Vampire the Masquerade clan lore dives, those original ones that I did at the tail end of 2019 and at the beginning of 2020, have tens of thousands of views. Like, that's fucking insane. And whenever I hear comments and praises from people saying that how helpful my stuff has been, a few instances I've had people saying that it saved their lives during a particularly down spiral of their mental and emotional health is a lot to take in, and I couldn't possibly comprehend about how my content helped them out, but I'm exceptionally grateful for all of that. I really am. Like, and I know I moan every so often about not getting the views and things that I think I deserve, but I'm doing my best to like tackle that, and there's always going to be that bit of a struggle being a content creator, but it is there, and I am very grateful about all the love and dedication that you lot have to all the different things that I do, especially as we're not focusing too much on the world of darkness as we have done in the past. It's a really cool thing, but that does to me have the downside that whenever I advertise for a game on a Discord server, or I do an ad on YouTube or social media, like, oh my god, Lord by Night's doing a vampire game, sign up as quickly as possible. And also there's a sort of hunger to be in a vampire game as is, so add in the fact that your favourite content creator or somebody that you have a lot of respect and opinions over is doing something, and there are only a limited number of seats available because it tends to be a one-shot or chronicle. There is that desire to get in there as soon as possible, and I totally understand like rushing in for that sort of lottery adrenaline feel. That's just a fucking prelude, because then all the real fun starts to happen when people eventually go to the Discord server or whatever that I've made, and then I get the messages saying, what time is it, what day is it a one-shot or a campaign? And this is happening with a lot more regularity with me, which is really frustrating, given the trauma things that I mentioned of being neurodivergent, being failed to be understood all the time, and I feel that I'm really fucking clear with these. Like, I put things underlined and bold, I make things stand out so people can see on the advert, and if I do it on a video, I often put that stuff on screen. I just enunciate that really fucking clearly. Start Playing Dark Games makes it really fucking clear when you hit the sign up button, whether it's a one shot, a campaign, how many players, all that sort of stuff. But I've had a fair amount of people recently message me in games, two of the most recent ones as of the recording this video, the 10th of October 2025 in the year of the Lord Talos, saying that I've had family commitments there I've completely forgot about. I've had games that I've completely forgotten about. Family commitments, fair enough, because sometimes they can just spring up at you for seemingly no good reason, which I understand a little bit, but as I said, I've had people tell me that they've forgotten about things. And how can you forget about games that you're already in? Because I thought you fucking TTRPG lot are fucking addicted to this shit like crackheads. How can you forget about games? Which just sort of led into this idea and this narrative in my head, as egotistical or deranged as it may seem. I don't think I'm particularly egotistical, but being a content creator, there is some degree of ego there for sure. That people are just wanting to sign up to these games as quickly as possible, just to be in a game with a particularly well-known and favourite content creators of theirs. And that just also feeds into just a level of disrespect that maybe because, it's a content creator, he's going to be a bit more lenient with us. I'm fairly pleasant with the members of my Discord server, which is where I've advertised some of the more recent games recently, double recently, or at least recent as of the recording this video, which I'm referring to a Vampire the Masquerade First Edition one-shot and a short The Walking Dead campaign, which I cancelled very fucking quickly because a lot of this dropping out because they've forgotten about games and other commitments was really fucking draining on me. Especially when I had one person who made a big song and fucking dance on the main server, saying that, I've signed up and I've read everything. Why aren't you on the fucking main server then? Why are you now asking about timings and things? Why did you drop off because you forgot you had a fucking game going on? For fuck's sake. And I think there's just a level of parasocial bullshit going on there as well, because as I said, I'm friendly, I think I'm well grounded, my expectations and things, might contradict myself in some of the things I spoke about 10 minutes ago now, but, you know, I don't detach myself too much from the personality of Lore by Night. Obviously there's some things I keep reserved, but I try and be like very casual with you lot. I could dressing up a lot more. I could carry on with like the RP element of the Lore by Night stuff, but I just gotten fucking tired of it, honestly. I mask enough as it is, like, so I just let the mask drop a little bit, you know? But I think some of you lot are just taking the piss, really, about treating me as just, I don't know, like a fucking mat or rug or something. Because that's just how I kind of feel with all of this, that people thinking they can just drop in and out when I've taken time out of my schedule and things, you know, to put together this sort of game. And also these things I've decided it was like a little treat for the server. Because you may recall the Vampire the Masquerade 1st edition one was to celebrate 1,000 members of the Lore by Night Discord server, which, again, is so fucking wild to comprehend, honestly. And even then, by the end of that game, I was getting a bit frustrated because just the level of RP commitment and being engaged with the game just stopped. Like, we only had there was a group of 5, and there was only like 1 or 2 people who were just consistently role-playing, and it got such to a point that one of the players actually had to say, hey, can somebody else do something because I'm doing all the heavy lifting? And I felt really embarrassed. Like this, I felt like this was a failure on my behest, not engaging with the group enough. But that was the thing, they signed up to be a part of this game, they wanted to do all of this, and yet most of them weren't committed to it by the end, which was very frustrating to be had, especially when I was doing this as a treat for them and for the rest of the server, because you can set up like live community things, and that's what I did. And sure, the audience I had was fucking minimal, but potentially I could have had a lot of people watching this, but there was just fuck all engagement towards the end, and I just found that really frustrating. Yeah, that was just a little blip, you know, that sort of thing's not going to happen again. Wrong! Because it was with the Walking Dead campaign that I attempted to do, which is all the shit started to happen, as I mentioned already, that people were signing up and forgetting about commitment, so what started out as 5-6 players was then taken down to 3. And then I had, by far, one of the most disrespectful players I have ever had the misfortune of role-playing against. This player decided that it would be totally acceptable to turn up to a game where it was going to be recorded, potentially, and put on YouTube, or at the very least it was sort of being live streamed to an audience on the Lore by Night Discord server, drunk, and or with a hangover, because they were going to this party and they were going to get drunk. Which I think is fucking incredible, really. Like, you think it's okay for me to record you and put that on my channel and let the world see that that's the sort of shit that I tolerate? What the fucking hell is wrong with you, you delusional fuckwit? Sure, they apologised afterwards, but I don't really think they know what they did wrong, given how much they fucking argued with me about it. And to my stupidity, I still allowed them to be in the fucking game because there were 3 people left, and I couldn't really do the scenario with 2, and I was just fed up of fucking getting people in and out and dealing with that whole fuck up that was people dropping in and out because not able to keep a fucking schedule and read at all. And then the one shot happened, it was fine, but I got so fucking stressed and panicky about dealing with this one person, and how if anything went wrong or there was any level of disagreement, they'd fucking kick off. So I'm just fucking stressed with this, I'm done. And then I just ended up running for some people that I hadn't spoken to in years, and that actually ended up being one of the most enjoyable times I've had running a game with people. Like, I don't know whether it's because, oh, it's Lore by Night, it's my buddy, you know, he's real nice to me. That I'm nice to fucking most people, mate. Just because it's a fucking courteous thing to do. Like, I've made it in my head now that I'm never gonna let that fucking shit fly again, and I'm never going to have that person in a game ever again. And quite frankly, I don't know how frequently I would do games for members of the Lore by Night Discord server because of these real fucking shitty experiences, but I wanted to try and like up that a little more, but all I ended up having was just a lot of stress and trauma, which is neurodivergent related, but some of it was sort of reminding me of all the fucking stress and panics I had when I was organising actual plays on a seemingly monthly basis, either on other people's channels or my own, or charity one-shots and other people had invited me to, and I had to go and do all the fucking headhunting for it, which caused me a lot of stress because time zones are managing, and it took me a fucking while to get to a point where I said, okay, we're doing it on this day at this time, who's going to be there, who's not. But I didn't want to go through all that shit. It was supposed to be a fucking fun time, and I was not having a fun time, so I just fucking pulled the plug on that shit. But just because I'm nice to you and I'm able to tolerate with a certain level of shit does not mean that I like you, and it does not mean that I have to put up with this fucking shit, honestly. So having tolerated all of that, what was the pair like? Well, they were definitely not with it. At best, I think they were tired, because of, the party and stuff. It's like, why fucking turn up to a game that you're not going to be at 100%? Why couldn't you be like a fucking adult? And yeah, the player's like 10 years younger than me. And to insist to be that fucking shit-faced, like, has a real fucking unpleasant level of alcoholism buried beneath that needs to get sorted out, but I'm not the one to fucking lecture too much about that, which, by the way, I find particularly triggering because of my fucking upbringing, but I didn't think I would have to fucking mention any of this to people, but because I didn't think it was ever going to be an issue to somebody saying they would turn up to a game hangover. It's one thing like to turn up to a game with a bunch of mates and get a wee bit tipsy, but whatever. So yeah, it sort of makes me a little uneasy talking about all this, and with the previous video, because as a content creator, you have to be fucking squeaky clean all the time. You can't say anything nasty about anyone, you can't be angry about anything, because you get a bunch of fucking shitheads saying that you're a shit human fucking being. Especially when you're talking about something like this, and you've just called one of your players a fucking alcoholic. And I'm not laughing at them, it's just laughing because of nerves, honestly. Bewilderment, I suppose. I fucking hate the fact that running games as a content creator is actually getting a lot harder than easier. Like, my one escape with this, honestly, was running games at my local game store every so often, but unfortunately, since I've started showing my face off a lot more, what has happened is that I'm now starting having people recognise me there. So, you're that Lore by Night guy. Like, I'll tell you a true story, actually. I showed up to a game running a Werewolf one-shot once, and there was somebody that had a fucking... I thought they were going to pass out. They're hyperventilating because they couldn't believe it was Lore by Night. It's like, fucking hell. I'm just a grumpy British lad, not one of the fucking Beatles. So I don't know if any of this is intentional. But that doesn't necessarily mean that people can't inherently be taking the piss. They just expect things to go a certain way because I'm a certain person. Like, you don't have to be intentionally manipulative to be manipulative. You don't have to be an intentional gaslighter to gaslight someone. And I'm not saying that people are doing that with the things I've been talking about per se. I'm just using those as examples, as they're often common ones. It's just a wee bit frustrating on my part where someone like I just wants to run some fucking games with people. And every single fucking time I do this, I get put up with this fucking wall of bullshit of people dropping out of games because they forget things, they don't read properly. It's also particularly frustrating because I've never had the best social life in the world, and those people I do know don't know or care that much for TTRPGs. So the problem I then having is I have to rely to running games with fucking strangers. And the other issue with my game store is I have to rely on the people to fucking sign up to the things I want to run and hope that people are interested in a game that isn't Dungeons and Dragons. So all of this is just making things a lot fucking harder to run games, and I shouldn't have to be dealing with such basic shit. Like, I think on the realms of things, my tales are pretty fucking vanilla. I don't want or encourage to have, worse stories to tell, but I just wish things wouldn't be so fucking crappy to deal with, and the real sad thing is I don't know what the fix is to all of this sort of thing. Even if I did drop out as like the content creating sphere, I would still probably get those issues because I'd still be like a little parasite in the back of the mind. You look familiar. And if I did that, I don't even think I'd be able to run games at all that wouldn't involve me spending money to get to my local game store and hoping that people will fucking turn up, you know? And I don't want to do D&D either, that's not a fucking option, no fucking way. And that's where we are, ladles and jelly spoons. I am a content creator who just wants to run games for people that's supposed to be as chillax as possible, and, you know, I do recap videos for, but alas, I am suffering from success. Yeah, I don't really have a solution to this, unfortunately, which is a rather sad state of affairs. So if anybody can relate to what I'm saying, I'd be interested to hear your thoughts and opinions down in the comments below. I'd also be interested to hear any content creators who have turned their TTRPG hobby into a profession of sorts, or a side hustle, however you define yourself online, to see how people in games have upped their creativity and disrespect to you. If there's anything that you can share and offer, it'd be interesting to see how this conversation can evolve online, if it will fucking evolve at all. I hope there isn't a part 3 to this video, but knowing how things are unraveling on my end at the moment, that will probably end up being the case. So, yeah, rant over, stop being dickheads, folks. Please.